Hello.
Am I early?
You're early. Looks like someone tried to join the meeting at like 8 something this morning, our friend. Um,
I saw the email.
yeah, I'm just switching my sound to my earbuds here. All right. Well, is everything the way I would like it to be? Not really, but it's gonna have to be good enough for today. One of the things I usually like to do is like have like a little slide coming in, but I think we're just gonna skip that today. Um, Amy's gonna read the land acknowledgement, and then just like last time, I'll follow up after this meeting with some links to some stuff with some indigenous people that talks about going beyond land acknowledgements so that it's not just this performative thing, right? Because I think too often it kind of stops at the performative. One second. Yeah, everyone approved it, which was nice.
Okay, I selected transcript in the thing below. So now it's
Let me just check our settings here before people jump on chat. I think it's already being recorded. Yes. Maybe I'll just should be good to go.
Thank you and good morning. We participants at this convention of the Pacific Green Party recognize and honor the indigenous peoples of this region on whose ancestral lands we now stand. These include the Willamette Tumwater, Tillamook and Siletz, Clackamas, Clatskanie, Multnomah, and Wallala Chinook peoples, the Tualatin, Kalapuya, Umpqua, Molalla, Rogue River, Shasta, who today are part of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, Klamath, Northern Paiute, Athabascans, Coos, Sisula, and many other Native communities who made their homes along the Columbia River and its tributaries. We also recognize that this land was taken by violence and that exploitation and injustice persists. Number one, in the system of laws and government. Number two, in the influence of big money in an antiquated electoral system. And three, in latent attitudes and prejudices against historically marginalized and oppressed people. Many of these persistent behaviors that people historically in power may not be aware of. Latent inherited patterns, of thought and action that ignore, diminish, or trivialize the contributions of Indigenous women, Black and people of color, and other marginalized and or oppressed people. We hereby commit to listening with intention and openness to value the participation of historically oppressed communities. We acknowledge that all marginalized voices and oral traditions have their unique wisdom to help solve the problems we face. It is therefore our intention to restore and work both within the community and within ourselves to recognize those attitudes, working collaboratively to restore balance on earth and amongst ourselves. We will not cast aside or minimize those voices when they point to latent discrimination. We respectfully acknowledge and honor all Indigenous communities, past, present, and future, and we are grateful for their ongoing and vibrant presence. We also thank the ancestors, spirit, God, or simple kindness for their guidance in ensuring that our thoughts and intentions during this meeting reflect mutual respect and compassion. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. And yeah, just I want to follow up on something I said earlier. For those of you just joining us, I encourage you to sort of look beyond land acknowledgements. We'll follow up this when we follow up with an email after this meeting with some summaries and whatnot. I'll include a link to a couple good talks about that subject for those that are interested about how we can move beyond just saying the words and doing something sort of substantive. All right, so real quick, let's just go over for the convention rules. Just add people. And please make sure that your name, you can change your name in the chat so that you're identifiable. I think we just had someone join that's listed as owner. If you could please put your name in there for transparency, that would be appreciated. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to juggle a few things, which I guess is a good point is that, hey, we could always use more volunteers. So the volunteers for this convention, I am Justin Phillip, the secretary. I'm the host and moderator. Amy Sachs with the state coordinating committee is going to act as timekeeper. Thank you, Amy. Also with the state coordinating committee, Greg Bourget is going to be our note taker. This meeting is recorded, just so you all know. That will help with the note taking as well. I will be the elections manager. So you received the vote or the ballot yesterday to approve the agenda. That agenda passed unanimously. There were no votes against. So that's great. I'm not going to be able to monitor the chat. So Amy, while you're also timekeeping, if we don't have a designated volunteer for the chat, but if there's anything you see there that needs to be brought to my attention, please let me know. In planning this convention, we had an agenda committee that was myself, Ken Adams, the treasurer, Amy and Greg from the SEC, Seth, former secretary, Connor, former member of the SEC. These folks all kind of helped put this together. And then we shared it with our chapters and asked for feedback, trying to put together an agenda everyone agrees with, which apparently you all did since it was unanimously approved. All right. So real quick, we went through the land acknowledgement. We're going to start off in a minute here with Ken Adams giving us a quick treasurer's report, just letting us know where we're standing with the money, which we don't have much of, I don't think. So donations are always welcome to make this thing run. And to organize, we do need funding. So we will get into a treasurer's report from Ken Adams. Then I've invited the chapters to report. Right now we have active chapters in Eugene, Lynn, Benton, and Portland. I thought it would be good for us to hear from each other to sort of reflect on the last year and share what maybe are some goals that we have for 2025 and beyond. And then around 11:35, we're going to get into, I think what we need to do is start informing our membership a little bit better about what's happening at the national committee level, what's happening with Green Party US. So Natalie, Mike Bielstein, and myself are currently delegates to the national committee. We need to elect a fourth. We get 4. So we need to elect another one at convention. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing here. But also, like, we need to do a better job, I think, of telling y'all what's going on at the national level. So we'll have a few minutes to maybe discuss that. And then we can hear from our candidates for state coordinating committee. In the email I sent this morning at 9:30, there's a link to a voter's guide. I asked all the candidates to fill out a form that was called the PGP Leadership Questionnaire. I tried to not make it too burdensome. It was about 4 questions, but it'll give you an idea of who they are, what they bring to the party as far as skills and experience, and what they hope to do, what their vision is, and what their goals are for the party. And then we have, then we're going to get into our second hour around 12:15. We'll start discussing items that the membership has submitted for introduction and discussion. And that's all linked in the agenda as well. There's a number of ideas people have for things they would like to see change or like to see the Green Party do. So we'll have time to discuss those. The priority of this convention is to sort of elect PGP leadership for the next couple of years. So decisions on some of these other items will probably be saved for the summer convention when we have more time to dedicate to that. And then finally, we will wrap up by just choosing the date for the summer convention. I'm guessing it'll be sometime in July. We'll discuss that, and then we'll try to wrap it up on time at 1 o'clock in respect to everybody's time. But I'll try to stop talking pretty soon, but let me just remind everybody of the rules we all agreed to. There's not going to be any scheduled intermission today. If we get ahead of schedule, maybe we'll have time for that. You'll see we didn't use the webinar format. People didn't like that because they couldn't sort of interact as much or see each other's faces. So we are using just a regular old Zoom setting here today. You're going to be muted until called upon, just so it's not chaos. The chat, however, will be open. Please be respectful. To receive a ballot, if you have not already RSVP'd, please RSVP. That is the list that I will be using to send out ballots. So if you have not RSVP'd, you're not going to get a ballot. I want to get people in the habit of doing that. Just quite frankly, makes my job easier. It's a one shop stop for me to just kind of collect all the information. I will have to verify everyone's supporting member status before sending them a ballot this afternoon, but that should be easy enough for me to do. I think I have all the information I need to do that. Again, you have a voter's guide. Open vote will be used. We're going to use the same ranked choice format we used for our party nominations last year in 2024. And you'll have until Tuesday to vote. We're going to close it at the normal. People are used to sort of polls closing around 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. So we're going to stick with that. And then the recording of this will be available on YouTube afterwards. So all of that being said, we'll admit a few late arrivals here. And then, Ken, if you are ready, appreciate you letting us know where we stand financially. I may have to unmute you. All righty. Ken, are you with us? I'm going to ask you to unmute.
There we go. Sorry. Took a while.
It's okay. Before you get started, now it's out.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Before you get going, Ken, I just saw a note in the chat about a missing agenda item. If we're referring to the Allen proposal, as it may be known, that's on there. So if that's the one you're talking about, it's on the agenda. It's under bylaw change proposals. It's the last bullet item on there. All right, Ken, take it.
Okay, so currently in the bank we have just under $2,100, and that's our current balance. We got quite a few donations earlier in January, so that was helpful. But I wanted to do more of a report on 2024, and we had donations totaling $10,055.74. We had expenses of $12,573.31. So that means our balance decreased by $2,500, and that is partially due to election activities. We paid for a ballot statement in the general election. There were some other fees that we incurred that luckily Mike Bielstein covered some of those, and so that was very helpful. We also, besides getting donations, we have sustainers who contributed $660. We also get money from the state when people submit their tax forms if they want to do a checkoff, and we got $723 from the state over the course of 2024. So we need to kind of rebuild our funding and people donating. And most people seem to donate via the Nation Builder on the website. And that is very helpful because that money comes in roughly about a week later. So I'm just encouraging people to do as much as they can to donate to the party to help us keep it going and get prepared for 2026. And we need more candidates and hopefully more local chapters. But if anybody has any questions, or Justin, if you have a question needs further explanation, just let me know.
And I'm sorry, can you remind us what is our balance right now?
$2,092.86. So it's just under $2,100.
Yeah, that's not much, folks. And so yeah, I mean, things cost money. All of us here are working for free. We're all volunteers, so the money's not going to people, it's going to organizing efforts. So yes, if you have a few bucks to spare, we would appreciate it. Or if you have ideas of things we could do to better fundraise, maybe let's all brainstorm on that, and we can take it offline and discuss it in between conventions. But thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. All right.
And I'll just say that if anybody has any particular questions, just let me know.
Sounds good. All right. So I think I had chapter reports starting at 11:15, so we're slightly behind, and that's mostly my fault. I was talking a lot. If you would like to chime in, please raise your hand. You can do that. There's at the bottom of your screen, I think. If it looks the same as mine, there should be a little icon that allow you to raise your hand, and we'll try to keep a stack if we can. But next is chapter reports. So I thought it would be good for us to just hear what each other is up to. I do think we need to do more local organizing, and I echo what Ken was saying is we need to kind of build our chapters up. I think that's face-to-face discussions with people that we know and trust are how we're going to grow. So I thought it'd be a good idea to sort of reflect on the last year and share goals for 2025. Since I'm the co-chair along with Nora Newman of the Eugene chapter, I suppose I can just go first, and I'll just say this doesn't have to be super formal. I don't have like a slide presentation for you all or anything, but I think what's been successful for us, we've grown a little bit in the last year, has been sort of working in coalition with other groups and also getting out in the community and sort of walking the walk, and not just like being on social media or whatever. We're trying to be more visible in the community. We recently participated, we're a co-sponsor along with PSL, which is the Party for Socialism and Liberation, for those of you who don't know, whose presidential candidate was just Claudia de la Cruz. And Claudia and Jill Stein on the national level have sort of formed a bit of a partnership. In February, they're going to be together, by the way, with Kashama Sawant in Seattle with an event to see how we can sort of build this movement and work together. Also, co-sponsoring was DSA, and DSA here in Eugene has been quite critical of the Democratic Party. So while historically DSA nationally has sort of endorsed a lot of Democratic candidates in the past, I think that might be changing, and it sort of varies on a city to city level. This with DSA, but our reach as a somewhat small chapter is not great, but our reach in combination with these groups is much greater. So the event we had last Sunday drew like 300 people. It had news coverage. There was like I gave a speech, Nora gave a speech on immigration. So we're trying to get out there in front of the public, remind them that we exist and that we're fighting for people. We're fighting for the vulnerable. We're fighting for the Palestinians. We're fighting for the unhoused. We're fighting for our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, neighbors, all that good stuff. So I think that's what's been helpful for us in Eugene. And then looking forward, I think we just want to continue to build on that. We have monthly meetings that are pretty consistent. Give people a chance to just get together and chat and brainstorm and talk about ideas and ways forward. So um, I encourage everyone to just sort of take the initiative on your own. If you see something needs to be done, like don't wait around for someone else to organize it. You organize it. Organize a meeting. Just get people together. Form work groups. If there's things that you want to work on, just get a couple like-minded people and form a work group. That's what we do in our anti-imperialist coalition here in Eugene. So um, that's kind of what we've been up to. Um, if would anyone from Lynn Benton or Portland like to share? Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you're very involved in the Lynn Benton chapter. Would that be all right if you could say a few words?
Yeah, hi. Anyway, we've had an organized chapter that has met regularly for 25 years in Lynn Benton chapter, mostly Corvallis. Um, and then we continue to meet monthly. We've since the pandemic, we've gone to Zoom meetings, and I think a lot of people are not happy with Zoom meetings, but when I've tried to get people to meet live, we have not had good attendance. Lately, to generate more interest in our monthly meetings, I've tried to have some program for each meeting, some speaker who's going to present some useful or helpful information. So we've had Beyond Toxics and our last meeting in January, we had Blair Bobier speak about the origins of the Green Party and what was originally the Pacific Party in Oregon. Next month, we've invited David Alba, who's a local leader of PDA, Progressive Democrats of America, which is not part of the Democratic Party, like DSA. It's an organization which mostly works with the Democratic Party, but they're for progressive development. And Dave has been a real leader in the Palestine support group locally. So we've also for I think the last 5 years we've had a weekly peace vigil every Friday. A group of us meet in front of the county courthouse in Corvallis, and this is kind of a continuation of something that went on for almost 20 years, where there was a daily peace vigil in Corvallis, and the main organizer of that died about 5 years ago, and local groups said, well, we'll want to continue it, so had different organizations take a different day of the week, but and we chose Friday. And so I think now we're the only ones doing it. And we also, besides our weekly peace vigil, there's also a weekly Palestine support rally at the same location at the courthouse, and we encourage our members to go to that. Let's see. Our chapters, been fairly successful in having elected Greens in office here. We currently have a rural fire protection district director, Alex Polikoff, elected. Although he says he's not going to run again, so I don't know if that's going to continue. And we also have a circuit court judge, Matt Donahue. Unfortunately, because of being a judge, Matt Donahue, declines to actually participate in Green Party activities, although he's maintained his Green registration. And I can understand that as a judge, he does not want to be politically active. Judges want to be viewed as nonpartisan and unbiased. We have had members on the Corvallis City Council for a long time, but currently there are no Greens on the Corvallis City Council, although in the past myself and George Grosch was registered Green, and also I can't think of the names of others, but anyway, we've had several Greens who've been on the City Council, and so it's so we generally have had elected officials at the we did not have a high voter registration, maybe compared to other counties, but we are, I think it's, back in 2002, after the Nader campaign for president, we had about 2% of registered voters green in Benton County, and now it's probably 0.5%. Maybe about 500 total registered greens in the county. So that's our situation. I guess we have one event coming up in February. On February 21st, we're going to participate with committees of correspondence for democracy and socialism, and with the platypus affiliated societies, in celebrating Red Books Day, which is the anniversary of the publication of the Communist Manifesto, which was 1848. And so we've done that the last 2 years. This will be the third year. The Green Party was not an official sponsor of that in the past, but most of the people who participated were Green Party members. And so this year we've decided we will co-sponsor it along with the other two groups. So I guess that's it. I've been able to talk for a long time, so it sounds like we're active here. And I guess we are, at our low level. The main thing is we've persisted. We've had I think we're the only chapter that's, been around consistently and, and continuously for the last 25 years, where we've continued to meet and very often get, run candidates. I tend to run every 2 years for some partisan office. And we've had James Dashiell ran for county commissioner this last year, and probably, every 2 years, I hope we can continue to get candidate for county commissioner. So that's my report.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, no, your chapter has been very active, and it's exciting to hear about all these events you've got going on. And I just want to mention this to the membership that we've created like an events calendar on our website at pacificgreens.org now. And so please share your events with me. You can just email them to info@pacificgreens.org, and we will add those to the website. What I want to do is just give people an easy way to, like, hey, what's going on in my neck of the woods, and how can I connect? So all these events are a great way to just kind of meet up with other Greens and see what's going on. All right, so Portland, I think we have a few different people in Portland that might want to chime in. Seth, Logan, I don't know if Logan's with us. I think Logan's a young organizer in Portland that I got to know during the election season. He's got some sort of exciting ideas of what they would like to do in the Portland area. And I know that they've been busy doing a lot of policy work. So would Portland like to chime in? And I see a hands raised. We'll leave time for the membership to maybe ask some questions after Portland kind of gives us a little debrief.
Oh, you want me to speak, huh?
Well, I unmuted you, and I think Logan and maybe Teddy. If anyone else would like to chime in, let's see. I'll ask Greg to unmute too if you would like to chime in. But yeah, just like what's been going on, and what are you looking to do in the next year or so?
Yeah, well, speaking for what I've done personally, there are other people in the Portland chapter that have been doing lots of different things. But my focus has been on election reform, and I did an analysis of the vote for Portland, and found that the conservative was actually fourth place, not third, and did not get anywhere near a plurality of ballots to even, or was not present on a majority of ballots. And there was a lot of interest in that. So I've been doing a lot of presentations to different policy groups on how the election results panned out. I did a favor to Multnomah County elections and redid their entire election count process using open source software, the single transferable vote, which is what we use, and verified their results. I have filed a number of election law complaints and put the conservative mayoral candidate, he got an $8,000 fine, which he's now appealing. And so we're doing some court actions to uphold that. There are some more election law complaints and filings we've been working on. And I worked a lot on with Portland Clean Air Fund on helping a lot of candidates get public funding. And some of the socialists were able to get support because of us. So uh, we have basically an ear in council at this point, and so that's good. And on to other people.
Thanks. Yeah, I know you've been working on a lot of policy work. I appreciate that. And yeah, the area that Portland's got that ranked choice voting for city council now, which is pretty cool. And I know they have it in the Lynn Benton area for their elections or Corvallis. So progress. It was kind of a bummer that it didn't pass statewide last time. Logan, if you could unmute yourself and maybe say a few words about where you'd like to see the party, what you'd like to see the party do in the next year or two.
Okay, we good now?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, just making sure that y'all can hear me. I just want to give a quick rundown of like kind of an outsider's perspective, I guess, because I am new to organizing with the Green Party, and I wouldn't be organizing with the Green Party if I hadn't gone to the liberty of really reaching out and trying to get myself involved during the election cycle. I met Jill Stein and I met Butch Ware up in Seattle, and that really inspired me to like follow through with this. And it's easy to critique from the outside and be like, this is what should happen, this is what should happen. But at the end of the day, like there has to be people that step up and do the work. And I want to step up and help with doing the work. But I want to also provide the perspective that I think the biggest problem that we're facing right now in Portland is a lot of it surrounding lack of funding and lack of ability to create banners or signs or reading materials and host events and things like that. But I think that like visibility is perhaps one of our biggest problems, because as you alluded to with ranked choice voting being in place here in Portland now, and with Portland just being historically progressive, I think that there's a lot of potential for Green candidates to thrive in Portland. And I know that we ran with Joe Meyer for Congress, and I know that Marnie Glickman also ran like affiliated with the Greens for city council. Unfortunately, neither of them successfully got elected. But I guess I don't want to be doom and gloom, and I don't want to take away from the efforts that are already happening behind the scenes. There's a lot that I know that people are doing that is really credible work. But I also just feel like I am very tapped in with other organizers on the ground. And I think that a lot of other organizations in the Portland area don't even realize that the Green Party is around in Portland. I didn't realize there was a Portland chapter. And I know several of the PSL organizers and have talked to them, and they were like, oh, I didn't even realize that the Green Party had a Portland branch. And so I would really like to work towards coalition building the way that Justin has been down in Eugene with the Anti-Imperial Coalition. I know that PSL is willing to work with us. I think that Freedom Road Socialists and Healthcare Workers for Palestine and Jewish Voice for Peace, I could go on and on with the list of organizations that I would love to get more in sync with. Because I think that moving towards 2026 and 2028, the lines have become concrete at this point. And it's like, you are either a fascist or an anti-fascist. And the Greens really need to step up and be a voice of leadership for the anti-fascist movement, because we have the access to the ballots. Like we have the ballot access that no other party has the ability to garner. So I just want to see us building coalitions, and I want to see us with more visibility on social media. I'm working on the Green Party social media, and I would love help with that. And anybody that would like to help me with that can reach out. But yeah, as far as what's been going on, like I don't want to sound too negative, but it doesn't feel like there is a lot going on. And I think a lot of that is just wrapping back around to the visibility issues like I was talking about earlier. We really need to add some younger, preferably queer and BIPOC voices into the mix so that we can have a diversity of leadership. And yeah, I appreciate being here, appreciate the time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. Yeah, and I'm encouraged, like, you know, I told DSA, I'm like, just we don't have a rule that says you can't be both, you know. That is the
Yeah.
fact that we have ballot the fact that we have ballot access is a key differentiator for us. It's like
Definitely.
an advantage.
DSA is
Definitely
like
an advantage.
a lot of DSA's membership is realistically much more in line with the Green Party than they are with the Democratic Party at this point.
I agree. I agree. Okay, so Natalie's been patient. Thank you to Lynn Benton and to the Portland folks that I've been talking to for sharing what's been going on and what you. Let me just make sure that she has the ability to unmute herself. All right, sounds good.
Thank you. And
Natalie,
thank
go
you very
ahead.
much. Thank you. And thank you very much, Logan. I'm looking forward to working with you. I focused my year last year working on Marnie Glickman's campaign and also on Tiffany and Amorio's campaigns in District 3. We got both of them elected. They used to have their canvassing operations out of my house, so I got to meet them pretty well. With Marnie Glickman, unfortunately, access to the database was compromised, and so we were not able to organize as we did using her canvassing events to try to reach out to local Greens in her district. But she ran a very good campaign and she had a lot of visibility. I'm looking forward to working a little bit more on the legislative camp. You know, there's a legislative session coming up right now, and there are also special elections in May, and maybe seeing if we can help in any of those as a Green Party, in addition to the local work on anti-military and anti-whatever going on. Thank you. I put
Great,
my cell
great.
phone in the chat if you want.
Yes. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you. I think we're a little bit over time, but that's okay. It was worth it to hear from everybody. And I don't think this next piece will take very long. So Nathalie, Mike, and myself are currently, again, delegates to GPUS, and we need to elect another one this convention. But I thought it might be good for us to kind of share what's been going on at National, so folks are a little bit tuned in to that. I can just say, like, this was my first year as a delegate. One of the frustrating points for me is just the interface that we use, like the means of communication is sort of like an outdated, clunky thing. And it takes some getting used to, I'll be honest. That for me, that was just my experience. So for that person that gets elected to be our fourth delegate, we can help you on board and understand how all of it works. It took me a second. Right now, we're up for deliberation is something that we already do here in Oregon, which is when we have a nomination, we're talking right now at the national level about having a none of the above option. And that'll be an option on your ballot today, actually, for the SEC. So if you would prefer it to be none of the candidates on the ballot, that's an option. And that's something that we've been doing here in Oregon already. And that's something we're looking to adopt at the national level. Oregon is kind of, I guess, leading the way there a little bit, like we have in the past on some other things. Another thing, we voted to endorse the event that's happening in Portland, the Workers Strike Back event that's happening next month in Seattle, where Jill Stein and Claudia and Kashama Sawant and others will be gathering to talk about how to build the movement, what's the best way to do that for people, planet, peace, and all that good stuff. Those are a couple of the more recent ones. Mike or Nathalie, would you like to share anything that you remember from the last year or you think folks would like to hear about? Maybe I about covered it, but we can continue to, I think, do a better job of kind of keeping you all informed of what's going on. as far at the national level. But and if anyone is interested in running for national committee, please keep that in mind. The leadership questionnaire form can be filled out at any time, and we'll just kind of hang on to it until decisions can be made.
Oh, as a wrap up for 2024, I don't want to disrupt the gathering. You just need to know that there is an impending lawsuit and that needs to be entered into the record. I have requested that this gathering set up a date to review the events in 2024. Because it is very important, and it's in the link that I sent in the chat. Thank you. But I also believe that the Green Party has a lot of potential, and I wouldn't be here if that weren't the case and I weren't committed to it for so many years.
Sounds good. It's noted, and thanks for that. And now, Amy put the link to the Worker Strike Back event in the chat, by the way. Okay, Mike.
Thanks. I just, I serve on the national committee. I really can't keep up with all the messaging that goes on about it. So I view every message, but I don't read anything unless it's a vote. And, so when votes come up, I vote. But I really find it, well, just beyond my attention span to be able to keep track of all these things going on at the national level. I mentioned I did get a call from Rick. I can't think of the last name now. Anyway, he's chair of the
Rick Lass.
Rick Lass, yeah, the Green Congressional Coordinating Committee. And anyway, it looks like they're going to make some good effort to try to build support for congressional candidates throughout the U.S. And I'll try to be supportive of that effort. But yeah, if I'm, if someone who, is better at keeping track of stuff would want to take my position on the national committee, I'd be happy for it, but I'll continue to do it if I'm needed. Thanks.
Yes. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, well, I think personally speaking, I think Mike's represented the party well, but yes, we're always welcome. And going back to some of Logan's comments, I think we would all love to see like a more diverse representation amongst Pacific Green Party leadership, more younger folks, more people of color, et cetera, just so it's not a bunch of white guys. And anyway, yes, and as far as the Green Congressional Campaign Committee goes, I just want to quickly tag on to that. I ran for Congress last time around, if those of you are here that may not be aware. And that committee was a fairly new committee, and I think they did a good job the first time through, but they're looking to improve and to build on what they did and be a little bit more organized. And I think I'm optimistic that the work they're putting in will pay off in 2026. We're gonna be a little more organized. We're gonna be a little more professional, and we're gonna be a little bit more careful about which candidates nationwide we choose to endorse. We might be using that none of the above option in some cases. We want to make sure the party's well represented. All right. I don't see any other hands up right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're doing pretty good on time. 11:46. That was supposed to wrap up at 11:45. I like it. Okay. Next, hear from the candidates from the State Coordinating Committee and delegate to GPUS. So in the link, and I can post it again, there's a little bit of a voter's guide that I put together that kind of tells the membership where folks stand on some things, just some basic stuff I think you'd like to know about them. So maybe we just open this up for a Q&A for the most part and have a discussion. We've got Ken Adams, who is currently our treasurer and has a lot of experience both in California and here. And he's looking to be on the State Coordinating Committee again. We have James Daschle, who recently ran for Benton County Commissioner and represents sort of the Lynn Benton area. I really appreciate James throwing his name in the hat. Josiah Dean has been an elected Green before in Dufur, a more rural area. And I think his experience as an elected Green could be an asset. And then we have Teddy is with us. He's a little younger than some of the rest of us and could bring some fresh perspective, perhaps, from the Portland area. And Josiah is also interested in running for delegate. And I'll just remind everybody that in order to both run for these leadership positions and vote on them, you need to be a supporting member. And if you want to get into what a supporting member is, you can find all that information on our website. So rather than just have these candidates repeat themselves, maybe we could just sort of open up the floor for, does anyone have any questions for the candidates that you'd like to hear them discuss? We could go through the voter's guide and remind everyone what their comments were, but I'm just gonna kind of leave that to y'all to read on your own. I guess I'll just ask this question. Maybe we can just go down the line. And I see a hands up, but real quick, can we just have everyone just kind of tell us what why you're interested in this role? That was one of the questions on the form. And Ken, could you just maybe start us off by just telling us why you're interested in being on the state coordinating committee?
Yes, I've been on the state coordinating committee 21 through up to 21 and 22. And in 2022, I took over being treasurer, and that ended up being quite a bit of work, especially at the beginning, because there was a system in place that was geared toward the treasurer who had been treasurer for 10 years, and someone took it over and was having a hard time with it. But I do think there's a need for me to be on the SCC, because a lot of times there are decisions that need to be made about financial issues that I don't think were being addressed very well. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to return to the SCC. And if anybody has any particular questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thanks. And maybe we'll just go down the line real quick, and same question for James. Why are you interested in helping us by serving on the coordinating committee?
Very good. Yes. As I stated in the questionnaire, I'm looking to understand more of what goes on at the state coordination level. I enjoy working with the Greens locally here in Lynn Benton area, and I'm definitely committed to advancing Green Party ideals. But I'd like to, take advantage and learn from, the people in the committee that are experienced, and to absorb, and also to help in any way that I can to, help heal the divisions that have been going on in the party over the past year.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you. Josiah, would you mind sharing with us why you're interested?
Yeah, thank you. I'm basically just interested in getting involved. So this was the only checkbox that I saw for volunteer efforts. But having said that, I do have a lot of experience. I was on city council here in Dufur for 9 years, and I'm also been on boards for various nonprofits. I'm a small business owner, so I'm familiar with how to run a business. And I think that I am an old white guy, so I that's one check against me. But in my favor, I do live in a rural part of the state, and so I think my representation as a rural representative, although I don't own a pickup, but still I'm on the front lines of the urban-rural divide here in Dufur. So that's my pitch.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, Eugene, if I could interject, I do think the Pacific Green Party is well positioned to bridge that rural-urban divide. I think there are some values that folks in all kinds of communities across Oregon can get behind. So thank you for that. I think that's important. Teddy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teddy. And yeah, kind of going off that, I'm from a rural area in Northern California in the Sierra, and I came to Portland in 2020 to go to Portland State University to study environmental science. And the more I've been going to school, the more I've been realizing how interconnected everything is with politics. And so I've started working at Portland Clean Air back in 2021, and I continue my work with them on progressive political campaigns as a petition slash campaign coordinator. And we worked on the on IP 8 and 9, which was to end corporate donations to politicians. And we also worked with progressive city council candidates who were running on a clean air platform. I guess I'm interested in participating mostly just because I think, yeah, there's a lot of young people who feel very disillusioned, and with the two main political parties, and I was actually surprised to find out how many of my friends were actually registered green. Friends that don't really talk about politics, that don't really mention anything. They were actually registered green, and I was like, "What? Really?" They were registered green years ago. So I think there is a large base that is waiting for um, you know some community building. I think community building is going to be very important going into the next 4 years. There needs to be more emphasis on things like mutual aid. There needs to be more presence in the community, as Logan was saying, more visibility. I mean, even just a T-shirt, having a T-shirt reminding people that there's another option, I think is really important. And yeah, and working together. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Teddy. We do have a couple hands up before I call in those folks. Yes, I just want to say, like, I do think it's a pretty strong slate of candidates. Speaking for me personally, I would recommend all these folks. We have a good geographic sort of representation, with Teddy being in the Portland area, Josiah being a little bit further east, James in the Lynn Benton area, and Ken in Salem. So we're spread out geographically a little bit. Everyone's got like some really good experience that they can bring to the table. So thank you all for expressing your interest. We are a volunteer-driven party, and so we are only as good as our volunteers. So thank you very much for stepping up. Let me just, I think Chuck and then Natalie. Go ahead, Chuck. If you just unmute yourself.
Hey, I understand that my membership has been, as a supporting member, has been revoked. I indicate in the chat that was without merit and a wrong decision. I'd like to be a delegate to the Green Party US, and I'd like to be included. And so that would require people at convention right now to conceivably consent that I am a member in good standing, or just a supporting member in bad standing, however you want to look at it, but that I am a member and that I'd like to be considered to be a delegate. I've been a delegate. I support and very interested in working across the aisle, as it were, on all fronts to build coalition to advance the green movement. And that's my general broad stand. So that's what I'm asking for an adjustment to the agenda. And also note that this meeting is stained by the report from Natalie on challenges to the configuration of SCC. So it's kind of very messy and muddy. I think that's an opportunity to, kind of clean things up, recognize me as a member. I'd request the vote for the delegate, and then we just keep growing as best we can. Thanks, Chuck out.
Thanks, Chuck. I'll just respond to a couple things. Yes, Chuck's supporting membership was revoked by the SEC, and that's because he joined with others in with it under this banner called the Oregon Green Party, which send out communications to our membership claiming to be the party, the Green Party in Oregon. They held their own fraudulent convention where they misled both our membership and the candidates, who all thought it was real. And we had candidates confused about, I thought I was already nominated, but no, they weren't already nominated. And so for those reasons, those folks, for those sort of like what was deemed fraudulent activity, had their supporting membership revoked. But yeah, that's what that is. But yes, this is a good opportunity to reset. We've got 4 open seats right now. There's 3 seats that are good for another year because they're 2-year terms. So we still have Mary Gedry has 1 more year left on her term. Greg has 1 more year, and so does Amy. So those 3 will be up for election next January. Right now we have 4 empty seats. Let's go to Natalie and then Mike.
I just wanted to mention that I'm really excited to have new people running for the steering committee. James and Josiah, Teddy, really highly, thank you very much. It's great. It's great. And we're going to be totally supportive of your work. I just wanted to let you know we've done a lot of organizing, and I want to pass on everything that we did to y'all. I want to speak, and I hate to be always negative, but I want to speak that I would like Ken Adams to rescind his candidacy because he's a named party to a lawsuit, and it's a conflict of interest, and it would be actually a liability for any incoming SCC. And he can run afterwards. He can still volunteer. That's not it. If anybody else from who's participating would like to run, that would be really much appreciated. But at this moment, you guys need to know that that's something that's going to happen unless we have a meeting to review what happened in 2024. Thank you. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to work with you. I'm not a bomb thrower. Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Sorry, I had trouble getting unmuted, but I just wanted to respond or comment on Chuck Fall's request. Anyway, I don't want to approve or disapprove of anything he's done, but I would like to say I really object to this concept of supporting member. I think it's created lots of problems, and I know we're operating under the bylaws for this convention, and and so therefore supporting members only can vote. But I really would like to see that classification of supporting members removed. I'd hope that the steering committee will come up with changes to the bylaws and introduce it in future conventions to get rid of that. Anyway, it's just been problematic as far as identifying who the supporting members are, and it's just a restraint on democracy. I think the safeguards that was intended to provide has not really never been necessary. We haven't had the party taken over by newly registered Greens who flood it to nominate a Democrat or anything like that. So anyway, I probably wouldn't vote for Chuck Fall as a national delegate, but but I do sympathize with this issue of people being excluded because of the supporting member qualifications. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. And on that note, this isn't, I've heard from a number of people that they would like to see the supporting member thing either completely go away or be something different than what it is right now. And I'll just say, as secretary, my job is just to sort of like, I'm just trying to help us follow the rules that we have in place. But we can always change them. And you don't have to be, and this is a message for everybody, you don't have to be on the state coordinating committee to affect change. So we have Groups IO, which is our sort of discussion forum online. But this sounds like something that deserves a working group. This sounds like for those that are interested in making this change, it might be a good idea to get the heads together and figure out what that change is going to be if we want one, and then present it to the membership maybe at the next convention. If we want that change, probably sooner the better. But we're just trying to kind of follow the bylaws that we have in place right now. I think we had Ken waiting, and then we'll get back to Natalie. But thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I just want to tell Mike and others that, yes, I think the supporting membership rule is a problem. And I would like to see something similar to what we did in California. And that was that we were organized by county, and the county got a certain amount of delegates at a state convention based on the percentage of Green Party voters. And that's how the delegates number was decided. And I think that would be a much better system, and we'd have more representation from other areas as well. So I would be glad to work on coming up with another method for deciding these issues. And as far as Chuck's wanting to be a delegate, I would not vote for him. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I think we have Natalie waiting.
Yeah, very briefly, we have been undergoing a process to review bylaws for the past 2 years. A bylaw proposal has been reviewed at 3 conventions. There's extensive YouTube discussions, Zoom discussions on our YouTube playlist. Whenever there will be the official party convention, this is to be voted on because that was decided at the last convention, not the July 1, the previous one. And that's in the link that I sent earlier. So there is a proposal. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. This was extensively discussed and normally should have been voted on this time. Thank you.
Thanks. So I guess if I'm just going back to our agenda real quick, we were gonna have reserve time until 12:15 to hear from state coordinating committee candidates and delegates. I think we've about wrapped that up. What's next is the item submitted by the membership for consideration, and maybe it makes sense to just discuss the matter that Natalie has just brought up. So I believe we voted on that in 2024. I think someone had the exact information in the chat. I'm neither here nor there on the Allen bylaw proposal. We were trying to just reserve those decisions for the summer for the most part. But I don't know. Does anyone want to weigh in on this matter of the Allen bylaw proposal? And then we'll get to some of the other ones. Yeah, go ahead.
It was to be voted on, but Seth wanted to introduce a new concept and he had some questions. I don't know that everybody reviewed everything exactly. And so we decided to do a final round of discussions, which didn't happen with a vote at the business convention, which usually happens in January of the year when it's kind of a lull to prepare for the upcoming year. So we added an extra convention to vote on that on. It was not voted on, Justin.
Well, I think I remember it was, and Seth was the secretary last time around, and he's saying it lost 12-17 in February of last year. I do seem to remember it being voted on.
It was not voted. It was not voted on. I know that it was not voted on. We have the videos of. I don't want to. There's no point in arguing it here. It's better to do it at a meeting. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I think if I'm gonna say we're just gonna kind of stick to the what's been approved as far as what we're going to vote on for at this convention. We're not going to add that as an item to be voted on at this time, but perhaps we can strike up that conversation in committee or in a working group between now and the summer, if it needs to be revisited. But it was voted on 12 months ago, so. And again, I have nothing against the bylaw change per se. My only beef with that bylaw change, if I'm just going to editorialize here for a second, is just that it's a big change. There's a lot in there, and I think a lot of people get discouraged or are just kind of wary of signing off on a wholesale changes when they're not exactly sure what's in that change. This is why I've recommended sort of more piecemeal adjustments to the bylaws. It's easier for the membership to understand those, and maybe they'd be more willing to make changes sort of piece by piece. But Seth, you've introduced a number of things, or at least you've got a number of items that you would like to introduce. And I'll just tell the membership this, like typically what we haven't done a very good job of following this cadence in the past, but really the cadence should be an item gets introduced, it gets discussed, and then it gets decided upon. And sometimes we want to rush right to deciding on everything without the proper introduction and discussion. So these items have been submitted for introduction. Would you like to run through them for us? And I can just read them off if you prefer, but
oh, there we go. I wasn't able to unmute myself, so. So those the items that I submitted for introduction are very short, single subject items that can be voted on separately. The point there is saying the smaller items are more likely to pass, and large wholesale changes did very poorly in previous results. I think it's a good idea to go back to just proposing the crux of a change and then having it introduced so people know it's been introduced. And these are things such as removing supporting membership entirely, such as Mike proposed. And so that's already been introduced. So we can have a discussion between conventions and come to consensus on that, and then have a non-controversial vote on single items. So, and anything here that we discuss, even though it's not formally introduced in the agenda, at least it will have been introduced here, so we could have discussions on that too. So if anybody else has any ideas they want to put forward of changes, like separate single changes, that would be good to introduce now.
Yes, and please, attendees, please feel free to, participate, chime in, share your thoughts on all these things. I mean, if you prefer to just sort of listen, that's great too, but I don't want you to feel like you're just being talked at. I want you to feel like an active participant. So feel free to share your thoughts. Would you like to go on to some of these other ones? I mean, I've got one that I'd like to talk about as well, Seth, but do you want to keep going or?
Well, I don't need to go into detail about them, but in overall, they're the gist is a number of proposals to improve democracy, such as having biannual elections at the same time as candidate nominations, not having these winter nominations in a convention, just getting rid of conventions altogether and just doing regular vote processes over email. Another idea is continuous assent SEC, so you can be elected by 2/3 of Senate participating voters, and then you get removed to avoid hysteresis with half non-assent. So if you drop down below a majority and you're no longer in the SEC, get rid of these arbitrary limits on the size of the coordinating committee. You don't really need that. There's a point on the advisory board. So the advisory board can be recruited, so a much larger body with geographic and district representation, where we try to do proportionality and try to have an advisory board go over key things that, like you can have the advisory board talking about policy issues, whereas the coordinating committee is more on administrative matters. And also to be very clear that all platform positions of the party require 2/3 votes. There have been attempts in the past to say we're going to have a resolution and then try and stack conventions. We saw anti-vaxxers try to do that. And so try to work around what's in the bylaws and the intent. And that's the summary.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I think these are all ideas worthy of exploring, and I think we need to just take the time. It's one of the things we need to do, and not just have it be a couple people either. We want a lot of voices in this. So maybe the new SEC, once elected, can maybe help us organize some of these discussions, so that they just don't sort of stagnate, right? Sometimes we bring up these great ideas and then they just kind of sit out there, and we don't really get traction, or we don't develop those ideas. So let's see if we can maybe form some working groups or take this to committee and develop these so that we can take them to the membership for decision, and with hopefully some consensus going into the summer convention. But I do think it's a good idea to sort of like look at these one thing at a time. And if I may, I did have one item that I introduced. This is nothing new. This is just a call for us to sort of follow our own bylaws, which we don't always do a very good job of doing. We have in our bylaws a call for an advisory board. In Article 6, and I'll just read it. I'm asking for us to establish this advisory board. An advisory board, it says, shall be established and maintained by the party to provide continuity, stability, and support for the party, local chapters, and the statewide coordinating committee. So the advisory board shall consist of supporting members who have demonstrated skills and or who have served previously on the statewide coordinating committee. The advisory board may be of any practical size as determined by either the party in convention, so this could be decided by convention, or by the statewide coordinating committee, and shall provide representation from a variety of geographical regions. So members of the advisory board shall be selected by the party at convention or by the SEC in between conventions. So this is something the SEC could establish after the election on their own. And they would serve at the pleasure of the party or the SEC. And the advisory board would consult with the coordinating committee on a regular basis. The advisory board is subject to party committee openness, requirements of these bylaws. The advisory board shall provide advice to the statewide coordinating committee and the party for long-range planning, voter registration, conducting electoral campaigns, fundraising, budgeting, media, outreach, administration, and any other essential activities of the party. The advisory board shall assist in ensuring that important party documents, newspapers, newsletters, and press clippings are properly archived. So that being said, that's what the bylaws say. Typically in my experience in the last 4 years of organizing, being more organized in PGP leadership and at the state level, is we've got a small number of people doing a lot of the work. And so we need to have more people involved, and we need to retain sort of institutional knowledge and provide, like the SEC, I believe, should, we don't need to have the same people serving on the SEC over and over again. We need some fresh ideas. We need to inject the SEC with some younger people, some new ideas, but we also have experienced members that have served on the SEC that have a lot of institutional knowledge and experience and know how things work. We don't want to just discard those people. We want to keep them involved in the process. So I'm suggesting that the SEC establish this advisory board within 30 days of this convention. That's what I'm asking the folks running for SEC to do. So within 30 days of this convention, please establish the advisory board and announce it to the membership. So good candidates would be former SEC members and party officers. They could be invited to serve as advisors, and this would help provide guidance to the SEC and pass on institutional knowledge. I know we're going to have some folks that are new and may not be super, Seth as a former secretary has been very helpful to me as a new secretary of like understanding all the rules, and Ken, same thing. What we're required to do as far as the Secretary of State goes, and to be in compliance with laws and also our own bylaws. So, and just where is stuff? Like, how do we use the Google Drive? Like, how do we use OpaVote? How do we use Groups.io? Like, these are things that need to be taught to people sometimes. And so that's why that experience is valuable. So I would like to see that happen. That's all I've got on that. That's already a bylaw, so we just need to sort of follow through on it. And I think it would be worthwhile, and it would get more hands helping, which is something we desperately need. Well, we're flying right along. Does anyone have any more? I mean, we've got a lot more time scheduled for this discussion. I had it all the way up until 12:50. But we could always wrap up sooner if we'd like. Oh, I see a hand up. Go ahead, Natalie.
I would strongly urge the people who are interested in in being on the steering committee or in being a main organizer leader for this gathering to set one or two, actually probably 2 or 3 dates to meet, to do the transition, introductions and all of that, because if we wait too long, we're already running to the legislative session and all of that stuff. And the sooner we do it, the more, the faster everybody can get in, their hands involved, empowered. So I would urge us to have those dates now, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to set them. Hi, Michael. Michael had his hand up too. Michael Sunlighter.
Oh. Okay. Unmuted.
Hello, greetings. And Justin, I think your idea of having an advisory committee is a good one. I may consider volunteering for that. I have in the past served on the SEC as well as the National Committee, distant past. I have some institutional memory going back 25 years. Relating to the process here at this meeting, I have raised a couple of questions in chat. There have been no responses. One is on my phone, which I'm using to attend this meeting, I cannot find a raise hand option. I put it in chat, and thankfully Nathalie and others saw it. I don't quite understand why there has to be everyone unmuted to start with. If someone like me were to act out and be disruptive, you could mute me. Why shouldn't the default mechanism for our sharing virtually here be unmuted? Mute when necessary, rather than, in a sense, the other way around. It gives an exclusive sort of controlling atmosphere, which I find not conducive to optimal communication. Simply my thought. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that feedback. I think Ken has his hand up.
Yeah, Michael, one of the problems that we ran into in previous meetings was that we could mute somebody, but then they could immediately then go and unmute themselves. And so it became impossible. Okay, and that's why we have to do it this way, unfortunately. Okay, and it would be different if we were meeting in person. It'd be much easier to control, but it's very difficult to control at a Zoom meeting. Okay, so that's why.
I understand, but it shows a level of distrust and dysfunction.
And we've had that.
Rather than accept that, I think we need to address it and creatively build the relationships that may resolve it.
I would agree, but you have to get consensus on those things. And that's been an issue. So I'm just gonna mute myself at this point.
Thank you.
Definitely something to consider. And we did try to incorporate some of the previous feedback into this convention as far as like not making it the webinar format so that everyone could see each other and not having the chat closed. We opened that up, but obviously not everyone can speak at the same time. But Michael, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I personally will give that some thought. I can promise you I'll give it serious thought. I hear what you're saying. I think, Teddy, did you want to say something? I thought I saw the hand up, but maybe you thought better of it. Or...
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to speak briefly because I've attended several meetings in the past, and yeah, there was a lot of talking over one another, a lot of derailing of the conversation, and termination of the meeting early, and so on. So yeah, I think that it's very easy to talk over one another on Zoom, and it's not like in a room where two people can talk and you can kind of hear both. It's more, it gets all jarbled on the computer. So yeah, I think we could move forward with having people be unmuted once we have stability and more agreement with where we're moving forward.
Thanks, Teddy. And I apologize for not seeing the comment in the chat, but I guess that brings up a good point as far as like the chat comes fast and furious sometimes. And as someone who's trying to moderate and host this thing, I'm I'm just not that good of a multitasker. Sorry. So perhaps more volunteers at the next convention, maybe volunteer tasks specifically with monitoring the chat and being in charge of the stack. That would be welcome, I guess. Yeah, see, there's a lot to read here. I just can't read it that fast. And again, that's just me, my multitasking limitations. The only thing left on our agenda, I mean, we can keep this open for comment and community, but the only thing left to be decided is, and we'll put this to a vote, it'll be in the open ballot as well, is to, just like this convention date was decided upon by the membership at the last convention, the membership will vote on the date of the next convention. We are in January. To me, it makes sense to, like, 6 months from now would be July. I don't think we want to be too close to the 4th of July. So what I was suggesting is perhaps Saturday the 19th or Saturday the 26th of July. Does anyone have any thoughts on when we would like to do the summer convention? And again, just to remind everyone, we do conventions twice a year. We could do them more, but by the convention or by the Constitution or bylaws, I forget which, we are asked to convene twice a year. So typically it's in the winter and in the summer. And these are the ones that really like make decisions on how things are going to go for the next 2 years. So these conventions are important. So I thank you all again for being here and being active participants. But I'm planning on putting the 19th and the 6th of July on the ballot. Is there any other dates folks would like to suggest? Amy, we haven't heard from you in a while. Go ahead.
Oh, I feel bad that I didn't bring this up sooner when we were still working on the agenda. But I would just remind people before they vote on a convention date to make sure there aren't any major events that they might be needed at as Greens or in one of the other organizations they might work with, to make sure there aren't any schedule clashes. That was my only suggestion.
Thanks. Olivia says she votes for July 26th. We will, you're going to get another ballot in your email later today, and the dates will be on that. So please vote for it then. But I'm glad to hear that you're supportive of that date right now. Natalie has her hand up.
Thank you. Yes, if possible, I'd like to have requested to have a meeting scheduled in the next 2-3, maximum 4 weeks for transition and a review of 2024 as well. Can we look at the calendar for that?
Yeah, I mean, not really up to me per se, but I do think it's a good idea to have sort of an orientation, sort of transition meeting. Yeah, let's look at the calendar. I mean, it's going to kind of be up to the new SEC. I'm not going to have folks make a decision right now, but we want to get them starting to think about it. Maybe like, I don't know. Yeah, the second or third weekend of February, perhaps. I think we should maybe just move that conversation offline to Groups IO, but I do think it's a good idea. Well, should we give everybody a half hour of their life back? All right, how about by a raise of hands, except for Michael, who can't raise his hand. By a raise of hands, we vote to adjourn. Michael, I got yours recorded. Thank you. I'll have to do a little test on the mobile to see where the heck it is on the mobile thing. If anyone knows where it is on the mobile, let me know. And then, all right, I think we have, we are adjourned. All right, I'll send out a link for the recording of the thing and ballots to everyone. And please have those in by Tuesday at 8 p.m. I thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Everybody have a great day. If folks are hanging out to just kind of talk, I'm going to stop the recording.